Alright, so today we are looking at part 13 of Big Ed and Liz on 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After Season 7. Over the last few days, the pair have been in Arkansas with Big Ed's family. They visited his childhood home and walked his high school grounds before throwing themselves a second engagement party. Thankfully, this one went well, so with Liz feeling much more a part of the Brown family, they returned to San Diego in good spirits. However, that brief period of peace didn't last long. Since getting back, Liz has had a stressful few days. She hasn't been working, so she's been burning through her savings. She's decided to go back to full-time work, which Ed still isn't happy about. And according to her, Ed has been starting a lot of petty arguments for no apparent reason. So, as a result, she's decided to take some time off from Ed and go whale watching with her friends.
Oh my gosh! So cute! Oh my gosh! So beautiful! Thousands! Ah!
So after the dolphins and whales leave, they all sit down to discuss Big Ed. Liz's friends ask her how the Arkansas trip went and she says that it went well. But when they ask how the relationship's been since they got back, Liz replies saying that Ed appears to be looking for any excuse to make the relationship not work. The whole idea of Ed self-sabotaging relationships is a bit of a recurring theme with him. We've spoken before about it seeming like he can't be happy, and whenever things are going well for him, he always seems to throw a spanner in the works. So maybe she's onto something here. But unfortunately, there's an even bigger problem for Liz than how Ed's behaving. Her ex-husband, who works for the military, has been restationed, meaning he's going to be leaving the country. Now that's an issue for Liz because currently he has full custody of their 9-year-old daughter, Riley. Liz now has to think about what her options are, and she's worried that if it goes to mediation, a lot of her issues, both past and present, will get thrown back in her face, like her failed past relationships, the instability of her current relationship, and the issues that she's very publicly been having with Ed over the past few years that still continue to this day.
Let's say it does go to court. How the hell am I supposed to prove that Ed and I are going to make it? We're not married. We're bickering all the time.
It's interesting. For the first time in I think their 3 seasons on the show together, this is the first time when we've seen them relatively at peace with each other. Since the engagement party fallout, they had the week when they went to therapy together and then the entire Arkansas trip, and they haven't had any fights or arguments on camera. But from what Liz is saying here, it sounds like off camera, their problems are still very much there between them. And now, I bet their issues with Riley are only adding fuel to their fires.
And then let's say that I do take her on full time. What am I going to do if him and I don't make it? Who do I have?
It must be so scary for her, especially given she's not close to her parents. Trying to balance working full-time and having a young child to look after. Her only real options aside from Ed are either relying on her friends and family to help, or hiring help. But given the first option is difficult because she's not close to her parents and isn't physically close to her grandparents, and given the second option isn't a cheap one and nor is it an easy decision to make, she really would be making a huge gamble betting on her staying with Ed and just hoping that everything works out between them. Plus, on top of having to convince herself that the relationship is secure enough, she may also have to convince her ex and a mediator, which might not be that easy.
I'm completely terrified of my daughter's father being restationed out of the country.
It's tough because, for whatever reason, she really does love Ed, and she really does seem to want to make the relationship work, but she just always is going to prioritize Riley, and rightly so. Her friends basically say to her if Ed isn't going to step up and commit and provide a stable home environment for her and her daughter, then she should just leave him. And I don't think many of you are going to be sitting there thinking that that's terrible advice.
I definitely need a partner who's going to be there by my side. And I definitely feel like I need to see more from Ed.
It's hard to tell how much of it is because the relationship isn't very secure and how much of it is because Liz is quite insecure herself. But the more we see of her talking like this, the more sense her being in such a rush to marry Ed makes. She's just desperate for the security of it all, now probably more than ever. Anyway, after spending some quality time with her friends, Liz once again links up with Big Ed. Thankfully, Ed seems to appreciate the need for stability in Liz's life and the need for them to be able to provide a suitable home for Riley. So they're off for some property viewings with a view of buying a house together.
Until we're back together.
What smells good?
Me.
No,
I
me.
farted.
You farted?
Charming. Normal bodily functions can be excused, but in a tight space like a car and then talking about it on camera, they really are made for each other, aren't they? Well, the first place they go to check out is a 5-bedroom property in San Diego. Ed feels like it might be a little bit out of his budget, but he just wants to figure out what Liz wants. Also, it might be quite convenient timing given the lease on his current place is almost up, but Liz is really appreciating Ed showing more willingness to dedicate his long-term future to her, and to them taking on Riley together.
So I actually have a background in design.
Oh, do you?
In architecture. So when I told you I was looking at mid-century, I kind of meant it.
Oh, he's such a pretentious little dweeb, isn't he? He's one of those people that loves to think that they're an expert in everything that they do. Photography, romance, and now apparently architecture and design. He already asked for mid-century. There was no reason for him to bring up his background other than this time it was on camera, and he wanted to stroke his ego. It wasn't the worst comment in the world, but wait until a little bit later. It gets worse.
Deep sink I like.
Deep sink, yes. Maybe I can bathe in here. Just kidding. This is nice and open.
It is a very nice house. Shame it's now been cursed with the image of Ed bathing in the sink, like a gigantic hairy baby birthed straight from the devil's womb. So anyway, now Ed's made his background in design and architecture known to all. He spends the rest of the house tour envisioning, out loud of course, all the improvements he'd make to the interior.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is great. This could be a slider. It could even be like a muted glass.
Honestly, who does this man think he is? Muted glass? I'm guessing most of you know what that is, but I didn't, so for those of you who are curious, I googled it and it's basically blurred or frosted glass. Either way, fair enough if they had bought the place and this was them doing it up, or if they were planning on moving somewhere with a big chunk of money saved up for renovations, but they're not even sure if they can afford this place as it is. That must be why Liz and the estate agent are just stood there looking at him like, what are you waffling about?
Design and material are really important, they're paramount. So I'm looking for, metal, wood, glass, lots of glass.
Metal, wood and glass. Really showing off his expert knowledge with those 3 fundamental building materials. Just a visionary. The pocket Picasso of interior design. I must say though, the way Liz looks at him whilst he's waffling about something he's clearly passionate about is very cute, even if it's not particularly inspiring.
Liz looks for 4 walls and a roof. I'm more about the design. I definitely have taste.
And there goes Liz's smile. Classic Ed. The human equivalent of a nice starter, followed by a burnt main and a bitter dessert, delivered to your table by a stuffy sounding waiter who sneezes on your plate. I also love how he says he has taste whilst wearing a shirt with a collar up to his earlobes, like a beefed out Elvis Presley, having just spent the last week walking around Arkansas in hot pink Crocs. Well, after completing the tour, the pair reconvene in the garden with the estate agent to find out how much they're going to have to fork out to secure the place.
This is really fantastic.
So it's listed right now at 1.295.
Oh dear, that is not a good reaction. Evidently, this little divvy was not expecting a number even close to that. And that begs the question, why are they here then? Why would they go to view a property without finding out how much it costs first? And if they did know how much it costs, why did they go to view it knowing they couldn't afford it? It's just so dumb, but at the same time, you've got to feel bad for Ed. That's his dream of a frosted glass bathroom door shattered. Next, the estate agent leaves them to discuss their options. They acknowledge the fact that they're not going to find exactly what they're after at an affordable price if they only look in San Diego, and Liz says that she wants more emotional stability before they continue their search. As a result, she proposes an idea.
I think I'd want to move out of San Diego. I think it'd be good for us to have a fresh start.
Oh, really?
It's not really hard to see why Liz doesn't want to live in San Diego anymore. On top of the inflated house prices, she clearly just wants a fresh start to wipe away all the bad memories that are attached to it. She associates the city with all of the arguments and breakups they've had, including the horrendous engagement party. And of course, Ed has friends and family in the city that Liz believes are holding the relationship back. If they're ever going to move away, now is the time.
I can't do the bickering, the fighting, or the drama, or worry about friends or family, and I just want a clean slate.
It's kind of sad. I'm worried this is a desperate and inevitably futile attempt at saving the relationship. It's kind of like when couples have a kid to fix a broken marriage or get engaged to fix a broken relationship. Wink wink. It just papers over the cracks and doesn't actually address the root of the problem. Them not having bad memories in a new place isn't going to stop them making them. And they're not going to stop bickering and fighting or be less likely to break up just because they're not living near Ed's friends and family that don't like her. I mean, I guess he can't go see them every single time they have an argument, but it's not as if he can't just phone them and get the exact same response. I just think it's a desperate, impulsive, and not very well thought out move.
This, Riley, that's what's important. I like that. I like what you're saying. I love you.
Damn, what a response from Ed. Supportive, agreeable, and prioritizing Liz and Riley over himself. It's rare that we see him being so selfless and empathetic. I mean, he has grown up, and I mean that in the loosest possible way, as a young adult here, and been a resident of the city for 40 years now. Leaving it all behind and starting fresh is a big decision for him, especially with so many family members and friends around. I really am surprised that he's taking this so well.
I'm committed to being with Liz. If that means I have to uproot myself after 40 years, I will. I don't see myself being with somebody other than Liz.
If he really means that, I hope he steps up his game and makes her feel like he can't envision a future without her. There's no use telling that to the cameras and not making it known to her. He's also no stranger to saying whatever sounds nice at the time and then not following it up with actions. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see if he is gonna become the man that she needs him to be.
Okay. Palm Springs. Let's start there. Okay?
Palm Spring residents, be warned. You know, this whole episode has really shown how fragile Liz is at the moment, and just how fragile this whole relationship is behind closed doors. With the decision on Riley to come, pressure is mounting, and Big Ed is making a lot of promises that I'm not so sure he can keep. Next up, something happens with Liz's job that Ed is furious about, which, as the season comes to a close, once again puts the entire relationship into doubt. There is not long left to go, so if you enjoyed today's video, please feel free to subscribe so you can catch the next one as soon as it's out, and so you can keep up with the rest of the saga and get more videos in future just like this one. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.